Okay, welcome to our third lesson, 10.6a. We've learned sine and cosine. Now we're going to learn the reciprocals, cosecant and secant. Okay, now we have some problems. Well, whenever sine or cosine is 0, it's going to cause a problem when we put it in the denominator. Okay, every time you do this, it scares a kitten. Don't scare a kitten. Be nice. This is an illegal move. You can't do this. You can only cross off things that are being, factors. You can't cross off something that's being added or subtracted. So don't scare a kitten. All right, now we're graphing secant and cosecant. Again, we have amplitude, period. We're going to talk about translations. This is a reciprocal function. We've discussed that before, zeros, and now we get asymptotes. So we're going to talk about that. All right. To graph a cosecant or secant function, you must graph the reciprocal function. Notice you have the red and the blue lines here, down below, and you use it. I don't actually draw the lines for mine. I just draw the points. But we use that to create our reciprocal function, which is why you needed to know how to do sines and cosines first. All right, so graph secant functions with an amplitude and a period change. All right, now for these you need to tell me what the base function is. In this case, the base function, the secant, is cosine. That's my base function. My amplitude is 3. My period is still 2 pi. My horizontal shift is 0 and my vertical shift is 0. Gee, that is a very interesting 0. Better. Okay. Now, I'm going to plot this out. We're first going to draw in the cosine. All right, we have a 2 pi period, so again, we mark our axes exactly the same way. Hiding our negative 2 pi here. I'm not sure how that happened. Anyway, okay, so now our amplitude is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, negative 3. Okay, we've labeled all our tick marks. You'll have to do this on every graph. We filled out our box. You've got to do that every time. And now we're going to plot our cosine function. Color, so we'll do it in blue. Alright, cosine starts at amplitude, so it's going to start up here. And drop, up, up. Drop, up. Okay. Those are our points for our base function. Now we're going to do its reciprocal. To do that, we take everywhere we have a 0. We're going to lay down an asymptote. My asymptotes are going to be in red. So I just draw a straight up asymptote right through any and every 0. Okay? Alright, that's my asymptotes. Now, when I graph this, I'm going to go back to purple to actually graph my function. Basically, I come down the asymptote. Whoops. Here, come down the asymptote. Where are we going? Down the asymptote, and I'm hitting it with my hand is like, and swing out, catch just that point, and go back up. The lower points we come from the bottom to catch. And that is your secant graph right there. Done. Boom. Okay? But notice we do have that underlying graph right here. We don't need to graph it. We just need its points. but we use those points. So we plot the points for that. We don't have to graph it. I would rather not see it graphed. I just this one time wanted you to see it. Alright, cosecant. Alright, so what is the base function? Y equals sine 2x. That's the points we're going to plot. Amplitude in this case is 1. Period is now 2 pi over 2, which is pi. Horizontal shift is 0. Vertical shift is 0. Alright, we have 2 pi. Nope, pi. So we're pi. Pi over 2, pi over 4. 3 pi over 4. Negative pi over 2, negative pi, negative 3 pi over 4. That was over 2, and that one was over 4. Sorry about that. And this is just negative pi over here, hidden by the box. Alright. My amplitude is unchanged, so it's just 1. The sine function, so I would start here and go up, down, down, middle. Keeping my curve, it drops, middle, up, middle. Oh, that's way too high. It's much more like that one. Okay. Yeah, that's better. That one's a little too high too. Too low, actually. Alright, so it should have been right there. Alright. I'm going to change color. I'm going to lay down my asymptotes. I go right, again, right through the zeros. That one wasn't good. Well, that one's curvy. Okay. Now all I do is I draw and catch the one outstanding number. There we go. And from the bottom, and use your asymptotes. And just give me a nice little curve. It's not a V. V and you're in trouble. There we go. That is our cosecant function. Okay? Alright. So this isn't that tough. Sorry. You can do this. It's not a big deal. Once you've mastered sine and cosine, okay, graphing translated cosecant and secant functions. Now we're moving them around, but we're going to do exactly like we did with the sine, except at the very end you lay down your asymptotes and sketch a graph instead of just going straight to sketch a graph. Okay, so it's really not hard, but you've got to know your sines and cosines. Alright, so everything else is the same, just like what we've been doing. Alright. Our basis is secant, so it's cosine. There's no amplitude or period change on this one, so we have a 1 and a 2 pi. So we're going to go mark those, 2 pi. Notice these are our quadrantal angles. Alright, our amplitude is just 1. Okay, so this is a cosine function, so it starts at amplitude. Okay, that one's way too low. So the other one looks like. It's pretty low, so we're going to fix it. No, let's still do it. It's really up here. It's pretty high. Alright, now, changing color to purple. Our horizontal shift is a positive pi over 2. So pi over 2 is 1 full tick mark, so we're shifting everything in the positive direction, 1 full tick mark. So this goes here, there, there, there. And this one's going to basically go off your paper. And I'll show you one of the things we do. No, that's not the right spot. There we go. Okay, so since that's running off, I could bring one back in from over there if I wanted to. Alright, now we're going to look at our vertical shift. Our vertical shift is down 1, so we're going to shift all the purple down 1 unit. Oh, that last one's way too low. Much better. Alright, now, oh shoot, I forgot. I apologize. Before I apply my red dots, I have to lay down my asymptotes. So my asymptotes will go through the purple zeros. I apologize. Through the purple zeros. Because you could shift this completely off. It changes your zeros when you do the vertical shift. Okay, so now I'm going to use the red dots to graph this. Use darker green. Okay, so I come down, come out, catch my, and I'm supposed to use the red dots. Down to the red dots, up to the red dots, whoops, sorry, and up to the red dots. I could even have this little half if I wanted to. Yeah, there we go. Boom. Okay, so hopefully there's no questions. I can answer them in our Zoom meeting if you need me to answer. Oh wait, what am I doing? I still have 3 more. A couple more to do, I guess. My mistake. All right. Okay, the base function is y equals -2. Cosecant gives me sine of 2x. That's my base function. Amplitude is 2. The negative means rotated. The period is 2 pi over 2, so it's just pi. Pi over 2, pi over 4. 3 pi over 4. Negative pi over 2, negative pi over 4, negative 3 pi over 4. My amplitude is 2, 1, 2, and 1, negative 2. Okay, now I'm going to graph this. Remember, being sine and negative, I'm rotating it, so instead of going up, I'm going to drop. And there we go. That is our base function. Now, we're going to do our horizontal shift. We'll do that in purple. Our horizontal shift is well, we're going to do that down here. Negative pi over 4 over 2. This simplifies to negative pi over 8. Okay, so the shift is negative pi over 8. Well, 1 tick mark is pi over 4, so pi over 8 is half of it. So I'm going to shift half a tick mark backwards. 1, half, 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 half. Okay, whoops, that one was a little high. There we go. Yep. Alright, so now I lay down my asymptotes before I do my vertical shift. Alright, so my asymptotes go through all the purple zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I had one back over here, 5. Now I'm going to shift this. Whoa. I'm shifting it. Vertical shift on this one is +2. So each purple dot is going to move up 2 units. So that puts this right on the x-axis, these two. These two go up 2, meaning they're really high. And now I graph it. So I come down the asymptote, circle out, catch that number, and go back up. Same with coming from the bottom. Okay. That has the whole kit and caboodle. It's rotated. It's got a change in amplitude, a change in period, a horizontal shift, and a vertical shift. Alright, sketch the graph of a secant or cosecant function. Alright, now we have everything again. Oh, nope, no horizontal shift. Alright, so let's look at this. The base function is going to be y equals negative 1/3 sine 3/2 x. My amplitude is 1/3, it's negative, so it's rotated. And the period is, 2 pi over 3/2. If I flip and multiply, I'm going to get 4 pi over 3. So that is my period. Alright, the nice thing about that is with that 4 on there and this being the 4th tick mark, means it's just going to be pi over 3, one of them, 2. 3 pi over 3 is just pi, and there we have it. So negative pi over 3, negative 2 pi over 3, negative pi. Alright, my amplitude is 1/3. Negative 1/3. Alright, now my plots, my points on the sine, so I start at 0, 0, but now I drop because it's negative. You could use another color for these points instead of the blue that matches what we've just been doing. The tick marks, your choice. Alright. Horizontal shift is 0. Vertical shift is -2, but we're going to lay down our asymptotes first. Right through the zeros before we apply the vertical shift. Okay, vertical shift means everything goes down 2 units. Well, that was only up 1/3, so 2 units is a lot. Wow. Okay, so this is going to shift way down because 1 unit would, whoops, 1 unit would be about here. It's being generous, so 2. So this point, would drop to about here. So the one sitting on the x-axis will drop down to about there. Except, I apologize. I don't grab the ones on the x-axis. Okay. The one sitting below the x-axis is going to be this point, the lowest tick mark I made in the y, minus about 1/3. So about here. So that means that one too. The higher one is about 1/3 above that. So it's going to be about here. And trust me, I'm not going to grab a ruler to make sure you're exactly right. I just want it close. So our line is going to come Down, way down. There we go. And back up. And these ones are going to be little teeny tiny guys. And this is big. And little teeny tiny one. Okay, that's what it's going to look like. And we're done. So that's your homework. Now I teach this a little differently than your textbook, little different order, and that's why you have this whole list of numbers instead of one particular section. There is also a worksheet that you will have to do and turn in. That is online, so you can print that out, and then that will have to be turned in as well. Just gives you a little extra practice because this takes a lot of practice. And we're done.